Okay, everybody, welcome to, can you believe it's already day 6 of Debruary? And we have a great guest for you today. Her name is Bonita Owens. She's a certified professional life coach, a very inspirational speaker, a best-selling author, and founder of the Amazing Woman Network. The mission of the Amazing Network is to teach, encourage, and inspire women to be, do, and have all that they are created for. So it's like, get you all pumped up. So our discussion today, though, is going to focus on Bonita's book entitled "Who Stole My Significance," with particular focus on chapter 6, which is entitled "The Power of No." A link to purchase the book is in the show description below if you are interested. Bonita says, "I truly believe that each and every one of us has something special to give to this world. I believe that we all have a journey through this life, and along that journey, you will understand more and more about who you are and the impact that you were meant to give, who you were meant to be, how you were meant to show up, and who you were meant to serve. But as women, we're like octopuses trying to be everything to everybody. We want everybody to be okay, and yet we ourselves are not. She found her purpose in helping other women discover their own driven by a desire to help others live better and bigger in alignment with who they were created to be. You are here to be significant, and Bonita wants to share her thoughts with you on how boundaries and saying no will help you do that. So please join me in welcoming Bonita Owens to February 2021.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, not nearly as happy as we are to see you.
I must say, I'm a little jealous that you have a name that you can, make into other things, Debruary, which I think is amazing. I'm like, oh, I don't have anything clever.
Like,
I'm
I
thinking
want a
something.
month.
I want a month. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I didn't think of that. One of my viewers did, like the first year I did this, what, 2017 or something. She thought of it, and I said, okay, that's it. That they're gonna call it that from here on out.
Love it.
So there
Love
you go. So let's
it.
start, Bonita, by talking about you said that every one of us is here put here for a reason, and
Mhm.
that our plan is to step into our significance. But take a moment and define what our significance means.
Yeah. So for me, significance means one is us understanding that we are important and we are enough. And not by any, not because of our, not anything special, right? Not because of our, who we are or our education or our class status, but just because we were born, just because we are created, we're important. And that's what I, love to remind myself and women of is you are enough just because you are, not because of anything else. And in that, because we are enough, because we are created and we're important, then I believe that everyone has something significant to give to the world, something to leave, something in order to make it better or help other people in some way, some big, some small. It doesn't really matter, but I do believe that our significance is meant to go beyond ourselves. Is for other people to glean from and to be blessed from.
I understand that, and I'm on that page with you. It's like I call it my soul work. That we have our soul work, and we need to get busy finding out what that path is. So we're
Yes, 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 yes.
so I wanted to find out, what it is that you were hoping that people would take away from this book. We're going to talk about the book a little, then we'll
Yeah.
get more deeper into the topic.
Yes. So I wanted people to read this book and think, first of all, they are not alone. I think so many times, we are going through our things through life, doubts and success and fear and all the things we go through and all of the crazy thoughts we have at times. And we assume we're by ourselves. Like, I'm the only one who thinks crazy. Well, no, you're not. And so I know it helped me to be able to talk to other women to make me feel normal, right? To make me feel like, okay, I'm okay to have these feelings or these thoughts. So that's one thing. The other
Okay.
thing is to inspire women to say, for them to know, listen, you can do, not only can you, but you deserve to do anything that you desire to do and that you are passionate about. And just give you a quick story around this, why this book was so important to me, and to name it Who Stole My Significance, because I was that woman who wanted to check all the blocks and dot all the I's and cross all the T's and do all the things that people expected me to do and things I thought people expected me to do and who people expected me to be and who I thought people expected me to be. And I got lost, right, in other people's stuff. I got married, had children, got lost in all of that, got lost in trying to make everybody else happy. And I just abandoned parts of myself. And the parts of myself that I
Oh,
abandoned is what made me alive, what made me who I am. And so I wanted women to stop and say, listen, you don't have to abandon parts of yourself. You don't have to pour everything into everyone else and leave nothing for yourself. Stop and take a listen, take a look at where you are and where you want to be. And if it's not where you want to be, I'm going to show you ways that help me to start to change it.
where do you think okay, because it's like this is such a common thing. And so many women seem to have received this message that they're quote supposed to give up their dreams and their hobbies and their interests and everything, their goals, everything for other people.
Yep.
And where do you think this is coming from?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question because I have an answer.
Well, yay.
I discovered this one day when I was coaching a client. And when I was talking to her about putting herself first, well, she came to me and said, I do everything for everybody else. And it's time for me to have something for me. And as we began to talk, and I said, you got to learn how to put yourself first. And she said, ooh, that doesn't even feel right. Like she didn't have a concept. She couldn't even wrap her mind around the thought. And I said, listen, most people think putting yourself first means you're selfish and you forget about everybody else. That's not what it means. It just means that you are intentional about pouring into you so that you have enough for other people. So you have it's what Ileana says is that we should be serving out of our overflow. So before, as we were talking, what I learned is where she learned it from. Her
Mm,
grandmother. Her
what?
grandmother, yes, her grandmother was busy doing for everyone else. And her grandmother was instrumental. She was a healthcare professional. Her grandmother was instrumental in her going to school and being the successful person that she is today. So as we started talking, I saw it. I understood it clearly. What happens is, Deborah, is that we see our mothers, our grandmothers sacrificing. And because we look up to our mothers and our grandmothers, because if it were not for their sacrifice, many of us wouldn't be where we are today. So the way we interpret that is, wow, if I want to be like my mother and my grandmother, if I want to be half as good as them and do the good things they did, that means that I need to replicate what they did, which was give it all away. And what I found out about her grandmother, she died, she had health issues. And she said the day after she died, she was supposed to take a family member to go get a job interview, to go to a job interview. And I said, wow. So your grandmother spent much of her life not even taking care of her health, not thinking anything of herself so she can help other people. But now she's gone, and that person still's got to get to that job interview, right? That person still, the people in her life that she left behind, now they still have to do the things that they need to do. And so I realized that's where we get it from. We get the notion because we see people that we admire do it, and we assume that that is what's expected. And I'm gonna say one more thing about what I've found, what I've discovered. Think about when we're talking about a woman that's at a funeral, or we at a eulogy, when we're eulogizing a woman that we admire. One of the things, just think about it, one of the things that most people say is that she just gave her all. She didn't even think about herself. She sacrificed for everybody else. So that has become a badge of honor for us to sacrifice everything. So that's what we assume, that we're supposed to be the same thing. That's
Oh
my
my
theory.
God, what a horrifying thought. I mean, I'm not saying what you say. I'm just like, it just never dawned on me that that was the source of all of this. As you were talking, I was thinking about my grandmother, and well, both of my grandmothers, one of them was a pistol. I think I take after her the most. She was something else, a piece of work. And
And
my other
it's not all
grandmother,
of
yeah,
us. You're right.
yeah.
It's not all of us. I think we're fortunate when we have those women in our lives that say, "Look, I'm taking care of myself. Y'all you're gonna be okay." But most of us don't. I didn't. I didn't have it in my life. So yeah. So
No,
you
but I
take
mean,
care.
it helps me, I mean, we do similar things. It helps me in my work to get that kind of perspective of where
Yes.
that might originate from so that it can be more empathetic when,
Yes.
approach when I'm dealing with people that have that issue.
Yeah. Well, you know what Oprah says, if you know better, you do better. And
Right.
that's, you know, yeah.
So let's talk about that. The sacrificing thing a little bit more. So, when we do all that, what ultimately happens to us? I mean, is mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, when we just sacrifice everything for other people?
We become drained, empty. I know this is my personal and the clients that I work with, drained, empty, irritable. You know, I have a client now who said, I went to create my vision board, and I just looked at it. I couldn't even start because I didn't even know what I wanted. And, if we think about it, many of us go through that. I think it was really, Deborah, maybe about 4 years ago when I realized I hardly ever ask myself what I want. Many of us don't give ourselves permission to really ask what we want because we're so focused on what everybody else wants. And this is a successful woman, right? You're thinking, really? But a lot of us who are go-getters, we can be the worst at this because we are the ones who rescue everybody. We're the go-to girls, I coined the phrase. We are the ones who get the job done to a fault, and we never ask what we want. So we're left empty and drained and not knowing what we want anymore, right? Not having a direction in life, no passion. We're just going through the motions of life, kind of like a Groundhog Day. When he gets up every day, it's the
Hmm.
same. We reliving the same experience every day. And because we haven't given ourselves permission to do anything different.
Oh, that's terrible. One thing I wanted I don't know, how much time do you spend online? Do you go around in forums and discussion groups and things much?
I do. Now I'm a big Clubhouse user. Have you got on to the Clubhouse yet?
No, but I'll go on over there and mosey on and check it out.
Yeah,
But
you
I
have an
have,
you gotta have an iPhone. You got an iPhone?
oh no, I'm an Android girl.
I feel sorry for you, Deborah.
Well, I don't know. That's what I like.
You have no, I'm just kidding with you. It's just, that whole iPhone Android battle.
Uh-huh.
Um, you have to have an iPhone or iPad, iProduct right now. It's in beta to get on there. But Android users are actually going out and buying iPads so they can get on Clubhouse. It's that serious. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's an audible. If I can really put it in a form that you can relate to right now without having experienced it, it's like a social media platform for audio only. It's an
Oh,
audio enabled social media platform. Yes.
how interesting. Okay, I have
Yeah,
to
very
check that out.
interesting. But yeah, I do spend a lot of time listening because I'm always listening to what women are going through, what they're saying, what they're feeling, so that I can hear. And over again, it's just the same woman and just, the same problem, different woman is that we're just giving it all away, just like you said, and not putting us on the list. And we're thinking, and we know that that's not okay because it's not working for us because we're feeling stressed and drained and
Right.
tired and overwhelmed, but we don't know any other way. And so that's why it's important to me to help women to break out of that, that habit of of feeling overwhelmed and stressed and not putting themselves first.
Do
It's
you
so
know,
important.
Bonita, there's this contingent of men online that resent this work that we're doing to get women to think of themselves and prioritize themselves. And their battle cry is that, women, especially Black women, don't know how to be wives anymore. And they're kind of flashing back to the Leave It to Beaver days. And, those were the ideal women. But I think back to my aunts and, when I was growing up, my aunts and my own mother and stuff, the depletion of those women and the sadness because they couldn't do what they wanted to do. And I try to get the young women to understand a lot of what you guys, the freedoms you guys enjoy now. I've seen that happen in my lifetime. So it's not like this has been around for a long time.
Not at
And
all.
our aunts and grandmothers and stuff didn't have those freedoms and rights that we do. And these guys want them to go back to that. And there's also women online who are promoting that, that women go back to that mentality too and abandon feminism and all kinds of stuff. How do you think, there's like two different camps. How do you think that's really impacting young women who want to get married and all of that, but they don't know, which
Where
way do I go? What do I do?
Yes. And you know what? I was just talking to a young woman today about something about this, but she's like, I think I'm going to be traveling with my husband. She's engaged, who's in the military. And, but I want my career, but I'm probably going to be a housewife because I'm going to follow him around. And she's like, well, even though that's okay, I still want a career. And yeah, we battle that. And I'm a military spouse. I told her, I said, I get it. I get the dichotomy of supporting your husband that's in the military that moves around and having something for yourself. And one of the things, that is disheartening, first of all, people do not like change, right? And I think it's so interesting that if you have men talking about this like the good old days, well, who was it good for? Men, right? I mean,
Right.
it wasn't necessarily good for women, and we didn't know we had a choice. And that brings me to the client I was telling you about her grandmother. And this is what I told her. And what I realized, as we were talking, is that these women in our lives who did everything, they made it look easy. They made it look simple. And you alluded to it. I told her, I said, but you know what? You didn't see your grandmother when she was by herself crying on her pillow at night. You didn't see your grandmother's private moments because women back in the day, they kept it all to themselves. They didn't let us see their private moments. They didn't let us see them hurting, and they didn't let us see them in pain. So we thought they were good to go. We thought they were happy because they learned how to put on a happy face. They
Right.
learned how to put on a mask because they wanted to not upset us and they wanted it to look easy. But you're right, there's so many women that weren't happy on the inside. They were suffering in silence. They were suffering when they were alone. And we assume everything was great just because they never told us so. And so this whole notion of the good old days or going back, it's selfish to me because what I have learned, and I'm going to tell you a little story about this, even with my age. I'm 50, so I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm much my experience is not much different than my mother's. I went to, and I tell this in the book, I went to a high school, my 20-year high school reunion, and there was a panel of alum there and talking about what they've been doing since they graduated. And there was this lady there who was probably at least about 10 years ahead of me. And she talked about how she reinvented herself.
Mm.
And I was in this state of flux looking for something more. I was a housewife, had kids at home, supporting my husband's career, but I knew there was something more. It was something pulling me, that there was something more for me. And when she was telling her story about how she reinvented herself, I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I can relate to this. This resonates with me. I was so inspired by this woman. So I went up to her afterwards and I said, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing your story. I'm looking to do something more. I'm looking to reinvent myself. And I have children at home. She talked about her children and she stopped me and she said, no, dear, all the things you heard me say right today, everything you heard me share, I didn't do any of that until after my children left the home. Right now, your main priority is to focus on your children, and then you can pursue all those other things after they leave the home.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was not inspired anymore. I was deflated and just
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, really? And at the time, Deborah, that would have been okay advice if my children were 17 and 18, but they
Yeah.
were 2 and 3.
No, we're not doing that.
So you gave me a life sentence of holding this thing that's in me. You say I got to put it up on the shelf for the next 16 years? Is that what we're telling women? That's what we're telling women. And I realized, and I went away 5 or 6 years, tried to play that role for next 6 years, but it didn't work for me. And I had an epiphany. I had a life lesson in that experience, that was her truth, but that was not my truth. That was what she chose to do, and that was fine for her. But that was not what I'm choosing to do. That's not fine for me. And I realized that instead of using my children as a reason not to pursue my passion, that really I'm doing them a disservice, not only me, but them, because how are they going to know that I can really do anything? They can do anything they put their mind to if they don't see me do it. As parents, we always tell our kids, you can do anything you set your mind to. You can do anything, but they don't see us do it. We're
Right.
not examples. We want to we want to say, well, look at him. Look at LeBron James, look at Shonda Rhimes. We want to point to all these other people that they will never meet. They will most likely never meet, but they see you every single day. They see you, and we are our first examples for our children. So I feel now more passionate to do the things I do to show them that they can do the things they want to do.
Good job.
Yeah.
I want to share something real briefly about that with my daughter, what you were saying. She was in elementary school and she went to this little private school and they were having, like, the moms were going to get together to make pizzas for a fundraiser.
Yes.
And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I said, how much you guys want? They said, oh, give us some money. I said, wrote them a check for $50 and I went on with my life. My daughter was so angry at me, Bonita. She was so mad because she's like, Mommy, all the other mommies were there and you weren't there. And I had to sit her down and say, my love, your mother will teach you all kinds of stuff, like how to shoot guns and, work on a car and all kind of, rattle off all the stuff I know how to do, build websites. I'll teach you all of those things. But one thing I'm not going to do is go up there and spend 4 or 5 hours of my life making pizzas. I'm not going to do that. That's not who your mother is. So,
Yes. Oh,
that's not who I am.
that's so
I
good.
love you. I will do everything. I will die for you, but I'm not going to make no pizzas for you.
Mm. But Deborah, that's so powerful because
She
you
learned
taught
at
her
that point.
message. That's right. Because you know what? It's so good that you said that because we've been put in a box by society, right? Women do this, men do that. But the things you know how to do, most women don't know how to do. Fix a car. Like
Yeah.
I don't do anything with cars, okay? But that's a valuable skill, and that's an important lesson to teach our women. I'm gonna use that story if you don't
Oh,
mind,
feel
Deborah. Yeah,
free. Because
seriously,
she was
because
so angry at me, Bonita. Ooh, I 8 years old and I never seen somebody be so mad to be so little. But as she got older, she
She
understood the
understood.
value of what I was offering her versus
Yes.
some mundane nothing. I mean, I didn't want to.
And but and I want to say this. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think where people get this wrong is that people like us are saying women who want to stay at home are bad, are not bad, but are, are worthless, or they're not valuable. I don't say that. I've stayed at home and I've worked, and I now have my own business. And what I like to say is, listen, the important part is not whether you stay at home and focus on your children, because some women really feel that call to do that.
Right.
It's not whether you work. What it is you doing what you feel called to do and what works for you, and not feeling like, well, if I work, that doesn't mean I love my children. Or if I start my business when my children are little, that doesn't mean that means I don't love my children. That doesn't mean that, right? Or if you stay at home, that doesn't mean that you don't have other skills that are important. Whether it doesn't matter. If you feel called to stay at home, do that. But if you feel called to do something more, do that. Do what you feel called to do and what feels right for you. And it's not for us to judge each other around it, or either judge
Exactly.
ourselves. That's the important piece that keeps us separated, I really believe.
Now let's talk about something a concept you put forth in your book called significant saboteurs. Like, look
Mm.
at her coming up with all these fancy terms. So, who might be a significant saboteur in our lives, and how do they do that?
So that came from, I'm going to tell you where that came from. That came from a concept where, how people talk about haters, so when you start your journey of living in purpose, whether you're starting a business or organization or a movement, people talk about, well, every time I want to do something, I have haters. There are haters around me. So what I kind of changed that, because I said, there are some haters that truly to the core, and I think it's very small percentage of people who just don't want you to exceed just because. I
Right.
don't think that's most people. I think most people are not haters for the sake of hating. I think they're haters because, one, your change, it brings up feelings and thoughts in them. So when you decide to change, so we are meant to be like, in our society, right? Everyone the same in this bucket, right? In this box. So when one person is like the crab mentality, right? When the crab decides later for this small bucket, I'm ready to go on to bigger, better things, right? You're gonna have people say, no, 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 no. This is where we live. You can't. What's gonna happen if you leave this box? They gonna kill you. How you gonna make it if you get out of this bucket, right? What's gonna happen to you? And what happens is people react not to you pursuing your purpose. They're reacting to their own fear around the thought of you pursuing your purpose, because it's really about them. Has nothing to do with you. And so that's why I say they're not really hating, they are sabotaging our significance. Because I hear so many women say, well, no, none of my family is supporting me. I have this idea, I have this business, but no one is supporting me. And some people use that, right, as a reason to not do it, not pursue
Hmm.
it, right, or stop, or they lose momentum because people are not supporting you. And that doesn't matter. I love what Lisa Nichols said. God did not give them, but people don't have to support your vision because God didn't give it to them. They gave it to you. So if we can just switch. So my point in talking about that is to help people to shift their mindset and not focus on haters, but know that when you get into purpose, there are things going to come. People are going to try to sabotage, but it's less about you, but it's more about what they're dealing with. And when you go out, people are like, oh man, well, maybe I should be doing something. Oh man, I'm not doing much with my life. Oh man, I didn't write a book. I've been wanting to write a book. And those fears start stirring up in them, and then they take it out on you. So that's what that's all about.
So fear is at the core of it.
I believe it's fear is at the core of it. I really do. A lot of what we do or experience as negative, I really believe that fear is really at the core. And so it's for us to recognize that and to say, well, you know what? If my family, if my friends, my environment does not support me, it's not that I'm supposed to change what I'm doing. I need to change who I'm around. Don't, I heard somebody say, don't change your act, change your audience, right?
There you
If you
go.
go to one place and they don't like your act, we want to change the act. No, 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 nothing wrong with the act. You need to go to the right audience that sees your gifts, sees what you have, and they can celebrate you with where you are. And just
Ooh,
leave it at
testify. Testify. That's so true. And I'm so happy you said that because I think most people don't even consider that. That
that.
they,
Don't.
you don't have to stay here around these people. Nothing's tying you to them. You have
Nothing.
two legs, put them in motion. Let's go.
That's it. That's it. And let me and let's be real. When we have an idea, when we have a passion, we want to take it to people we've been around that we trust. We want to take it to people who knows us the best. I get it. But know that if they don't like it, if they don't get it, it doesn't mean that it's not valid. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means what it is. They don't like it and they don't get it. And that's it.
There you go. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. We're going to move into our saying no.
Yes. My
Excuse
favorite
me.
thing to talk about.
Now we know boundaries and setting your own priorities and your own goals and all that are very important, but it just seems that a lot of women seriously struggle with having to me it looks like the courage to
Hmm.
say no to people. They're
Hmm.
holding back the no, and you can just see the timid kind of response or the, oh, well, we'll see, well, maybe, they want to say no, but they just are very afraid to do it. What
Yep.
is behind that?
Well, I have another theory. So I have a lot of these theories around our conditioning as children. And one of the things I think is that many of us were brought up being taught, and a lot of things we get is verbal and nonverbal. And we're being taught to be nice, make everybody happy, don't say no. And there are a lot of like small what is it? What's the word I want to use? There are a lot of small indicators that we get as children. So I'm gonna give you an example of one I use. And when I was little, this happened to me. There was a family friend, and the family friend was just always happy. And what he wanted to do was just, always wanted to kiss me on the cheek. And he wasn't inappropriate. He never did anything inappropriate, but he wanted to kiss me on the cheek.
Ew.
And I didn't want to be kissed on the cheek, right? But what many of us do when the child, and it could be uncle or somebody, but he was a really good family friend, but it could be an uncle, right? Or it could be an aunt. And the adult, whatever, whoever the adult is, they want to kiss the child. It could be a grandparent. And the child says no. And most of us, what do we do? Oh, it's your uncle Jojo. Be nice. It's Grandma Susie. Be nice. You need to be nice. So we get those
Hmm.
conditioning as children, that you're not supposed to say no. That child is saying no for a reason. We don't have to understand why that child is saying no. But when we make the child give a hug, when we make the child, allow an adult to kiss them or touch them, even if it's appropriate, when against their will, we're telling them at a young age, your no doesn't matter. Your no's not important. Your no has no merit. Doesn't matter what you want, doesn't matter what you feel. You need to do what it is that society thinks you should do, no matter what. So we are taught to override our feelings since from children. And then if we're women, and we want to nurture, we want to make people happy. So I think we just get into this routine of saying yes because we don't want to be rejected. We don't want to make people mad. We don't want people to think we're not nice, we're not helpful. We want to stay into the group, right? We don't want to be kicked out of the group, so to speak. We want to be accepted. And so we say yes time and time again. And we know deep down in our hearts that we really, really want to say no. And it's detrimental to
Oh,
us.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, no is one of my favorite words. It's like one of my two favorite words, no and free.
No and free. I love it. I love it. I always say free is my second favorite word, but 4-letter word. My favorite 4-letter word behind love.
Oh, well, mine might be something else, but of course, that is very interesting and very, very true. I never made my daughter do that. If she objected to somebody wanting to pick her up or kiss on her or touch her in any way, I totally was back up.
That's
And I
good.
mean, even if it was me, even if it was her
Yeah.
daddy,
Yeah.
it didn't matter who it was, my mother, anybody. If she
Hmm.
wasn't in that frame and they wanted to touch her, I say, no, she doesn't want to be touched right now. Leave her alone.
Leave her alone. Yes.
Leave her alone.
And that's normally in my talk when I have a talk called the power of a no. And there's one other thing that came to me that we do as children. And you might not do this either, but I did. I no, I didn't do it. I realized it's a good thing I started this personal growth journey before children, because there's so many things I realized that I wasn't going to do that my parents did, because I just had awareness around it. One of the things, another way that we condition children is when we go in and tell our children or ask our children a question and we say, Lisa, are you ready to go to bed? And Lisa's not ready to go to bed. Little Lisa's having fun playing with her doll. She doesn't want to go to bed. And you ask her, are you ready to go to bed? And she says no. And many parents say, well, you're going to bed anyway. Well, why would you ask a child a question and they didn't have a choice to begin with? So my rule of thumb when I would bring in my children is you never ask a question where there's a wrong answer. Never ask a question, because right then and there, you ask the child, are they ready to go to bed? The child says no. And you say, oh, too bad. Well, when you ask a question, you are implying that there's a choice.
Right.
So when we say, well, you're going anyway, well, why did you give me a choice or act like you were giving me a choice and you took the choice away from me? No. So there's so many different ways where we condition children. Oh, well, my no, if I say no, I'm not ready to go to bed, then mama's going to make me go to bed anyway. Well, what good is that? So when I brought my children up again, I would say, I never ask a question where there's a wrong answer. What I would say is, well, my son's name Josiah. Josiah, it's time to go to bed. Or I would say, just if I want to give a choice, I would say, okay, Josiah, are you ready to go to bed now? Or are you ready to go to bed 5 minutes from now? Right. And so you give them a choice.
Five
But
whole
they at
minutes,
least feel like they
dang.
have a choice. So yeah, there's
Ah,
so many ways that we just give kids little messages that your no doesn't matter. You don't have a voice. What you feel doesn't matter. And so we are taught to override our feelings time and time again. And now we're adults and we're in a habit and we do it all the time.
well, I wanted to ask you about. I mean, that's really funny though, about 5 minutes from now. I'm sorry, poor Josiah. He's like that. We can count that in seconds, Mom. That's not really. That's not
Well, when
helping.
they're little, when they're real little, they don't know 5 minutes. Now, when they get older, you got to give them a little more time.
That's just cracking me up for some reason.
He's a teenager now, so I couldn't do that to him now.
So let's say with women, why? Okay, so women say yes when they really want to say no. A
Yeah.
lot of times because they want to be considered to be nice, or
Yes.
somebody says, "Oh, you're going to be a team player," or they want to think that they're going to be helpful or whatever. But the bottom line is, they don't know how. So, do you have
Yes.
a few suggestions, tips to get
Yeah.
people started to learning how to form their lips to say no?
Yes. Now, again, with everything I do, it always starts with mind and mind shift. So, the first thing I tell women is that it's important to change your thoughts around the word no. Meaning, we associate no with being a mean word, a word that I shouldn't say, that's not nice. No, what if you can just level the playing field? Yes is a word, no is a word. They both, what do? They express a thought or a feeling. And so I usually give the examples around how can we reframe the word no. So I'm gonna give you an example that I use. If you
Hmm.
think of the word wedding, Deborah, what are the words you think of? Some of the words that you normally think of with the word wedding.
Uh, Cake, tears, happily ever after,
Mhm.
broke.
Okay. Beside that, somebody always throws in a little wrench, right? But yeah, so some of the other, when I do this talk, women say happily ever after, cake, joy, excitement, love, all these things. And then I say, what about the person who was stood up at the altar? What are the
Ooh.
connotations of the word wedding for them, right? Sadness, anger, disappointment, right? There's a lot of different words. So words in and of themselves have no meaning or no power. Is what we give to the word. It's the meaning that we attach to the word that gives it meaning and power. So the first thing I do is say, listen, accept the word no. It's not a mean word. It's not a bad word. It's a word that expresses a thought or feeling. Leave it at that. And then the second thing I do is say, okay, think about if you're afraid to say no. First of all, second thing is no is a complete sentence. So you do not have to apologize, explain your no. Okay. But that's a jump for some people. That's still a
Oh,
jump.
that's really hard. That's really
So
hard.
this is what I say. Think of a situation that you find yourself in over and over again when you say yes and you meant to say no. And you're like, oh, I keep getting in the same situation. Then start to practice ways to say no that makes you feel comfortable. We're not trying to get you to go from 0 to 10. There's baby steps, right? So I like to give examples. So one of the ways you can say no is say, thanks, but thank you for thinking of me, but that does not fit on my schedule. That does not fit on my current schedule. Boom.
Oh,
Or
good one.
or you know what? I would love to help you, but I'm just not going to be able to do that right now. Boom. Like it doesn't have to be anything hard. And you can start off by saying, thank you. Thanks for thinking of me. I'd love to be able to help you. And then just give the statement. It's not going to fit on my schedule. I have a lot of things on my plate that doesn't fit with my current vision or my current plan or whatever you want to say, but to practice it ahead of time so that when you actually say it in real time, your brain would have heard it before and it doesn't sound so foreign coming out. And even
Hmm.
role play somebody that you are comfortable with. You can even role play. Okay, how am I going to say this the next time it happens? Because if you don't break the habit, you'll get the same situation, different faces over and over again. And what happens is when we don't say no, we end up being resentful. We've been, oh, everybody's always calling me and asking me to do these things. I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. And we are resentful, but we are the ones that are creating the monster in the first place. We teach people how to treat us. And really, even with your kids, even with your family, it's important to create those boundaries, right? Those of you who are, I've got to do everything. Well, do you? Or have you set it up that way where everybody expects you to do everything because you have done everything? And I went through that with my husband. I was doing everything. Then I was upset because I was doing everything. But I realized, well, I was doing everything because I did everything. And I never I mean, so when I then said, "Hey, I need your help. I need you to do this. I need you to do that," and I had to detach myself from the results. Would it be done exactly the way I like it done? No. Would it get done? Yes. And that's the important part. And that's another thing we get into. Those of us who got some control issues, we don't say no, right? Because we're like, well, if it's going to get done right, I have to do it. That's a story. That's a story we tell ourselves, and it's not true. And it doesn't serve you if you're doing everything right and you're exhausted at the end of the day, every
Well,
day.
somebody just posted in the chat the question I was going to ask you. Because most people who ask you this kind of thing, and I'm thinking about men folk, you give them your no, and you say, your little reason. Oh, this doesn't fit into my schedule. That's really not, anything I'm interested in. Whatever. Why not? Oh, come on. You're just being too much. You a spoiled sport. You just a stick in the mud. You don't
Mhm.
ever want to try nothing new. What's wrong with you? Come on, why not? Why not? Okay, so they just wheedle and whine. And kids have this real bad. Mommy, mommy,
Mhm.
mommy, mommy, no, mommy, mommy, please, mommy, mommy. No." And so then eventually, after they ask enough times, a lot of times, the women will, even though they started off
Wear them down.
strong,
Mhm.
they fold.
Mhm.
So what do you have any advice for women who might face something like that?
Okay, so, well, that's kind of loaded because it almost situational in a sense about how you go about it. But I would say one of the things, again, it that all starts with us. The more you get clear on your priorities and your values and how you're going to live that out with your schedule, right? The more you get clear. So it's important to one, have a schedule, have some priorities, have some values, what's really important to you, what's not working for you, what is working for you. I would say if people were to say, "Oh, come on," okay, you stand firm. You have to stand firm in your no. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to get mean, you don't have to get frustrated, but you don't also have to explain it. So this is what I would do, seriously. And I've
Okay.
done it with my kids. Okay? Y'all ready? This is real. This is
Oh,
powerful.
I'm ready. Let's go.
If somebody says, "Well, why not? How come?" Nope, I do not want to do it, right? So this is what I do after that. Like nobody can make you do anything you don't want to
That's funny.
do. When
Oh,
you're out
don't
of
look at me like
words,
that, Bonita. I'll be like this.
when you're
Oh,
out of words, you don't give any more words. You don't have to continue to give words. It's your choice. If you want to explain yourself, it's your choice. If you don't, it's your choice to stick to your no. And is it going to be those of you who have created this monster? I'm going to tell you something. People will not respond positively to your no because they're not used to your no. They're not used to it. So be okay with that. See, this is what happens when we say no and people react negatively to our no, then we think we're wrong. Oh, maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. They were upset. No, can you? You know what is so funny? Someone asked a question when I gave this talk a couple of weeks ago. She said, there's a family gathering, and she has a young toddler, and she didn't want to go to the family gathering because of COVID, and she
mm-hmm.
and her family made that choice. No, and this was like a Christmas gathering, and they didn't go, and family members, her mother was upset because they didn't go. She said, how should I deal with that? And I said, well, were you very clear around the reason why you wanted to say no? Were you very clear on your intention? Yes, we decided. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Do you like it when people tell you no? She said, no. None of us like no. So someone's reaction to no is a normal response. So just already know that people are not going to like it when we say no. Is that what are you making that mean? Is that the end of the world because somebody got mad? Deborah, have you ever had anyone get mad with you?
every day.
And you still live to tell about it, didn't you?
Girl, I laugh in their face. I'm like, it's not a good day unless I piss somebody off.
Right. So it's like you don't have to make yourself wrong for someone being upset with your no. That's all
Correct.
about being firm in who you are, being firm in who you want to be, being firm in your answer. No means no. And if they keep pulling at you, especially with my children, I start looking at them and I
That
kindly walk away. When I'm out of words, I'm out of words.
that look, oh my God, you cracking me up.
You know, mamas, how to get a look. You
I
know how to
know.
get a
That's
look.
what I'm having a flashback of how my mother used to look at me. That's why I'm laughing so hard.
Like, I'm out of words.
Yeah,
No
but
more
see, once
words.
that eyebrow goes up, you start making your way away from her.
That's right.
You start
Yes.
putting some space.
It's like women, you get to be firm in who you are. And that's what I help women with. This is why this work is so important, because so many of us have never been given the space to discover who we are and who we want to be in the world. And it is up to you to be firm in what you want, be firm in your no, and not allow anyone else to manipulate you, strong arm you, bully you out of the decisions that you're making for you. Period.
And viewers, Bonita wanted to make a an offer for you. You want to tell them about that?
Yes, yes, yes. So one of the things that when I was going through my journey, what I realized is that I was always down on myself, just down on myself, telling myself what I should have done, what I would have done, just always kind of speaking negatively. And what I realized is like, wait a minute, would I speak to a friend this way? If I had a friend that came to me and was down and discouraged, would I tell my friend the same thing? And I realized no, I would not tell my friend the same thing. And so I have a guide that's called the 5 Minute Guide to Amazing Self Talk, because I believe that even when we're talking about the power of no and learning how to say no, the way we speak to ourselves is so important. The way we speak to ourselves will either help us to have more confidence or less confidence, right? It will help us learn how to say no more or no less. And so I want to just offer that to anyone, one of our readers. I'll put it in the chat so you can put it there. If you can, I forgot it's so you can put it where the readers can get it, Deborah.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
I'll put it in the show description
okay.
after this.
And it's just a quick, simple guide that give you some tips on how to start talking to yourself as you would a friend. And I think that's so very important, is the way we talk to ourselves to help us to shift our thoughts, to shift our mind, to shift our feelings, so that we can live according to our own, like I said, our own values, our own priorities, and less for just everybody else. And one of the things I'm going to say, one other thing I want to say about that is that, we teach people how to treat us. And once you understand your worth, people will start responding to you accordingly. They will respond to you accordingly. I guess I should have put www in there. Deborah, I just thought of that. Um, they will respond to you according to how you treat yourself. It's so very important.
That is important. Well, I want to invite you guys, if you have a question for Bonita, now is the time to ask it, because she was going to be here for a few more minutes. I'm trying to get this in here, and I'm not having much luck. So I'm gonna have to uh, copy it and put it. I'll put it in the show description
Okay. Okay.
once, because it doesn't want me to do it right now. I want to copy in there for
Well, that's
some reason,
okay. No problem.
giving me attitude, and it's not really working. But in the meantime, though, while they figure out what their question is, let's have you, in line with our show theme for this month, the theme for the channel. What can you give us your definition of what self love is?
Yes. Self love to me is fully embracing who I am, fully accepting who I am, and appreciating myself, forgiving myself, being committed to me, knowing that that I am worthy, that I'm important, that I matter. And the one of the things that I've learned is that, in line with what we're talking about, when we say no, that's a form of self-love, because we are protecting our own energy, we're protecting our own mind, we're protecting our own thoughts and our own feelings and what we truly desire. And that is a form of self love. And I learned that I didn't need to accomplish anything else to love myself. I didn't need to be perfect to love myself. Yeah, there are things I want to change, there's things I want to do more. And what I've learned is that I am worthy and I matter just the way I am. You know, when
Oh,
we think of love being unconditional, it really is. And but we tend not to be unconditional with ourselves, right? I used to think, oh, I'll be happy when, or I'll feel great when. And I realized that that when never comes, that there's always something else. And so I've learned to embrace who I am right now and love who I am right now without even changing a thing, because
that's
God made
wonderful.
me, right? So, yeah.
Well, the first question that came through is a young lady asked, why do you think men push back on a woman's no so frequently?
Ego. I think it's
Ooh, she didn't even hesitate.
ego. I mean, I think that, men, they're not nurturers by nature, right? Men are the hunters, men are the conquerors. And so when we say no, the first thing they're going to do is want to conquer our no. They want to, like, oh, no, you said no to me, not to me. So it's ego. They take it personally when we say no. And so we can learn some things from a man, though, in that respect. I think what happens is, when a woman gets a no, we're like, oh, they said no. When a man gets a no, they're like, wait, you didn't hear me right, did you? Wait, I don't think you heard me. They assume that you didn't hear them when you say no. And so I'm not saying we should be pushy, but I think we can learn something from them in that respect, to not take, when we're going after our dreams, when you're going after that career or that job or whatever it is you're going after, don't take no for the first answer, right? Figure it out, go around it, come back again. Don't be afraid to ask again, when it comes to no. You don't want to do that with people. But when you want to do that with things you're pursuing, that's what we can learn from men on that.
Oh, I am in 100% agreement. I guess that's I guess I missed a lot of this because I have three brothers.
Mm,
And being around all that male energy growing up.
yes.
So I'm like that. If it's something I want and you tell me no, you're not telling me no. You done lost your mind. You must be talking to that Deborah that's back there somewhere. That can't be me.
I'm the same way. I do not. Oh, you tell me no, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna figure it out. Don't tell me
And I'm
no.
gonna go around you, under you, over you, to the left, to the right. I'm gonna do something, but I'm getting to where I'm trying to go.
Exactly.
And you're not gonna
Exactly.
stand in my way.
That's right.
So let's see here. We have one more question. Someone says, I own a business and I've been dealing with boundary pushers and control freaks. How do I remain calm and stay on my game?
That's a good one.
Isn't that?
Well, I'm always gonna say, one is, where's your self care? When you're going into the lion's den, it's important for you to take care of you. So, I am a big proponent of meditation, and meditation has really changed my life. It's helped me be grounded, be focused and to strengthen my intuition. So I would say, first of all, make sure you're taking care of you and putting yourself in a position to be able to handle those situations. And number two, you didn't add, well, yeah, number two, I would say, look at how you are onboarding your customers. We teach, this is, I think, one of the things that as business owners we're saying no. We think, oh, well, this is a customer, I can't say no to a customer. Yes, you can. Because as a business owner, you're responsible for the experience, not only for the customer, but for yourself. And so if you have values and the way you want your business to run, well, who are the customers you want? Begin to think, these are the customers I want. I want customers that are calm, that are giving, that can communicate. And you get to decide for yourself how you're going to establish yourself. So it's important to establish yourself right away with those customers. So I would say, look at what you're doing or not doing so that customer thinks, making that customer think that they can talk to you any kind of way. The old adage, the customer's always right, that's not true. The customer's
Yeah.
not always right. You get to set standards as a business person, and it's up to you as to how you go about letting someone know, I'm going to give you all the service, I'm going to be professional, and this is what I expect in return. So that's so important to set boundaries as a business owner too. Don't think that they're always right because you're a customer.
Right. Well, man, they will yank you around like a
They
yo-yo.
surely,
Ooh.
they
Well, let's
surely
get
will.
you out of here. So why don't you share with them where they can find you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yes. So I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under the Amazing Women Network. You can reach out to me at Bonita at amazingwomennetwork.com. You can email me, or my website is not Bonita. My website is amazingwomennetwork.com.
Okay. And the link to
Yes.
that website is in the show description below, as is for every guest that we're doing this month. I will add the download link for the free booklet that she talked about in there right after the show is over as well. Okay. So, Bonita, I want to thank you so much. You were fabulous, so spirited, and you had me laughing. Please don't make that face at me.
Not at you, Deborah. Not at you. Yeah, you would respect my no.
Oh, absolutely. More than you even could think of. So,
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. Thank you
yeah,
so
and
much.
if you get a chance, check back, and look at the comments that come in, and a day or
Okay.
two, because
Oh,
they
I
may
would love.
have some questions that they post there.
Okay, and I will definitely respond to those questions for
Okay, I really
sure.
appreciate it. Thank you so much
Yes.
for
Thank
reaching
you,
out and
Deborah.
being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, you guys, that was Bonita Owens. I think I really enjoyed her. I hope you did too. That was, we're only on day 6, so we still have a lot more great guests for you the rest of the month, culminating in a panel discussion with me and 6 other women. So we'll be talking about that. If you have questions that you want us to talk about, be sure to email me far in advance of the date. Now, don't wait till the 28th to survivingdating@gmail.com, and I will present them to the panel for discussion. We also, who do we got coming up? Tomorrow we have another live stream. We're going to be having a woman talking about gaining joy instead of pounds. And then on Monday, we have mindfulness and self love. And on Wednesday, love should never hurt with Dr. Weeda Louise. And then on Friday is the $5 advice question. If you want to submit your fee in advance, you can cash at me and, and with your name that you'll be using, your screen as you'll be using on the show so that I know that it's you. Okay. But that makes it easy. You don't have to worry about it, the day of. We already have it. It's just $5 and you get your question answered right on the spot. That's next Friday, the 12th. Also in March, just to let you know, I'm setting up a 3-hour like a meeting, a live meeting kind of thing. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things. There's a fee for that, only $15 though. And there's going to be a maximum of 40 people to participate. I think that other than that, it'll be too big. But that will be taking place in March. I'll start putting the link up for that shortly. But I hope you guys enjoyed yourself today. Go out and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And I will see you here at 2 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow for the next Debruary guest. Okay. See you guys. Bye bye.